This is Sports Dan. Welcome in to episode 30. We are well into the spring season. You're noticing something. There should be somebody here, maybe somebody here, just right here. It's me. I'm J.W. Cox with you. Glad to be with you on Sports Dan. Jeff Densmore would be sitting here. Kenton Kipp would probably be sitting here. I'd be sitting over here if all things were equal. But tonight, you just get me, which, well, we'll try to make it work. We're well into the spring season. Like I said, we've had plenty of lacrosse and action on the diamond as well. More coming up this week. We'll get you all of those schedules, plus a lot of highlights on the way, and some of the looks at your spring sports with golf and softball, girls golf from Spring Lake Park, and Centennial's softball squad, coaches and captains, which the past episodes, as always, they're available online on our YouTube page in high definition. Kenton would have said that with me if he'd been here. Let's jump into some highlights. We mentioned a lot of lacrosse, and that included last night with the Blaine Bengals and the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Nobody hotter than the Blaine Bengals in the Northwest Suburban Conference. They won their first four, but had lost to Maple Grove, looking to bounce back against Spring Lake Park. Panthers, though, would get on the board first. They'd won just a single game in their first five, get the goal from Drew Nelson. A lot of speed, gave him plenty of space, bobbles it once, but able to beat the goaltender. It's 1-0 Panthers early on. Both teams' defense have played well in the first. It was 1-1 after one. Panthers led 2-1 5 minutes into the second. John Hickey scored his second goal of the game. Remember the name and that move. Not much to look at here, just a long howitzer shot from Zach Benson. A lot of power there. Hard to keep an eye as the ball just goes zooming by with that long shot from Benson. That made it 3-2, but that was it for the Panthers. Spoiler alert, there's Hickey again. That's a different clip, I promise you. Another goal for him. That was his third of the half. Bengals tied it right there. They took a lead and wouldn't look back. Ridge Gerads, he owned the third quarter, put the Bengals up 6-3 off that little dump-in pass. And Gerads doing his best Benson impression. He fires it, the one-timer right there. Gerads made it 9-3 into the fourth. 10 unanswered goals for the Bengals. They score again high up top. Wyatt Dimke, you'll see that again. Bengals able to win this one 13-4.
We really had to just slow things down and move the ball a lot better than the other team. Definitely working as a team and moving the ball well, moving off ball. The guys get really open.
What's the key to have that good stick work there in net?
You just got to be watching the ball at all times, kind of a deal. Just make sure you got your defense going with you and make sure you're talking to them. Just all-around effort.
Bengals move to 5-1 overall. All those coming in conference. As you see them sitting there in third place. Armstrong is unbeaten. So is Champlain Park, 5 and 4 wins respectively. Then you've got the Panthers down at 1 and 5, and in the middle of the pack, 3 and 3. Centennial still primed to try and strike just behind those Maple Grove Crimson, rounding out the top 5 in the Northwest Suburban Conference. These teams still plenty of games to go. For the Blaine Bengals, they take on Anoka, then Andover and Robbinsdale Armstrong in their upcoming 3. Meanwhile, the Panthers of Spring Lake Park, again, just looking for their second win of the season. They'll try to bounce back. They've got Coon Rapids coming up, along with Champlain Park, the defending champions of the Northwest Suburban Conference, and Irondale. For the Centennial Cougars, they lost to the Panthers, the only victim of Spring Lake Park this season. They've got Andover, Totino Grace, and Robbinsdale Armstrong coming up on their schedule. Plenty of fun activity in boys lacrosse. Also, girls lacrosse drew our attention in this past week. Spring Lake Park and Centennial, both teams off to struggling starts. Panthers had won 2 of their first 3 before dropping another game to go even at 2-2. Meanwhile, for the Centennial Cougars, they were looking for win number 1 when they went into Panther Stadium to take on the Panthers a week ago. Our cameras were there, and for the Cougars, they're trying really to get their program going. Panthers, again, trying to build off of some success a year ago after an early Centennial goal made it 1-0. Mallory Corrigan ties the score at 1 apiece. Cougars, though, they would score the next 7 goals from there. It didn't get very close. Back-to-back goals from Claire Carlson off the penalty. She gets a free run. This time a great feed right in front to her. Carlson scores less than a minute apart. It's 4-1. Centennial widens the lead, still less than halfway through the first half. Carly Selleck then, who opened the scoring with the first goal of the game, also got her second, made it 7-1 in favor of the Cougars. Great speed to split the defense there for Selleck. Finally, though, trailing 8-1, the Panthers would get back into the act thanks to Maddie Kelly, one of the 2 Kellys on the squad. She made it 8-2. More from the other Kelly coming up later. Krista Kessel, though, for the Cougars would score her second of the game. Plenty of that to go around. Kessel, the long run, gets right in front, makes it 10-2. Cougars went on to outscore the Panthers 12-3 in the first half. Spring Lake Park did turn the page a bit in the second, scoring 5 of the first 7 goals. The first from Taylor Turnquist, that made it 12-4. Then another Kelly. This time it's McKenzie. She went at it again, not once, not twice, but a third straight time for Mackenzie Kelly. Got the Panthers back to within 6 with less than 15 minutes to go. Cougars, though, able to work the clock, spin it around. Hannah Backman at the end of a long possession. She finds the net. That was 14-8, final 16-8. The Cougars able to get their first victory over the Panthers. You see the Northwest Suburban Conference standings for girls lacrosse. Champlin Park and Coon Rapids both 4-0. Armstrong, though, leads the way with wins at 5-1, sitting there in third place. The Bengals are 4-1. Haven't seen Blaine yet. Centennial and Spring Lake Park each 1-4 in conference. Cougars 1-5 overall. Mentioned those 2 early wins, one of those non-conference for the Spring Lake Park Panthers. Centennial girls lacrosse, as I mentioned, that was their first victory of the season to win over Spring Lake Park. They've got Andover, Totino Grace, and Robbinsdale Armstrong coming up, so their schedule certainly doesn't get easier. Meanwhile, for the Blaine Bengals, Bengals are at Anoka against Andover, a matchup coming up, and then at Columbia Heights, 2 of the next 3 on the road for the Bengals. Spring Lake Park, again, continuing to try and build on what was a 2-3 start at one point, or rather a 2-1 start at one point. Wednesday, they'll be at Coon Rapids, or rather host Coon Rapids at Champlin Park, and then hosting Irondale to round out their next 3 games in girls lacrosse action. Mentioned lacrosse, we also had the Diamond in full swing. We'll have more softball and baseball action this week as well. More on that coming up later. But first, we go to last week. The Blaine Bengals, errors had been a problem. None worse than losing a game on 4 errors in sort of a come-from-ahead loss fashion against Coon Rapids 2 games ago. That's still fresh in their mind as they tried to bounce back against Irondale and try and avoid some of the early season errors that had been troubling them. They didn't avoid all of those errors, rather, but let's see if they can get a win. First, they take advantage of an Irondale error early on to take a 1-0 lead. Tyler Reichenborn able to beat out the throw, a low throw in E5, and the Bengals go up 1-0. Had their defensive miscues as well, but did play some very good defense behind Jason Pafko, the starter. This is Griffin Fussy from third. Gets a great pick on the other end at first base from Jesse Slauson. So it stays 1-0, would be there until the 4th. Ground ball up the middle. That's a 2 RBI single. And Irondale is able to take the lead at 2-1. It was a low-scoring game. Both teams made multiple errors, but we also thought, well, maybe we'll be ticketed for extra innings if the Bengals can come back and get a run. They did so. There's Slauson able to ground a ball, put it in play. A fielder's choice allows the speedy Reichenborn to score, ties the game at 2. Head on to the top of the 7, still tied at 2. Bengals, meanwhile, trying to even their record here with a victory potentially. Top of the 7, Irondale. Their rally cut down by the 4-6-3 double play. That helps reliever Jackson Wirtz shut the door. Knights, though, would score in extras. We've gone to the 8th, the ground ball. This time Fussy can't corral it. They called it an E6 and allows the go-ahead run to score, make it 3-2. So Bengals are down, but certainly not out of it in extra innings as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. Trying to find a way to win. They had 2 infield singles, runners at second and third. Rather, one came home on a wild pitch, then a third infield single wins it. Bengals walk off 4-3, their 5th victory of the year.
not just me, our whole team. We're all really aggressive on the base paths. We all just, if we see a pitch in there, we're trying to jump and get to the next base, make sure that we're taking extra bases and the chances we can, make sure we're not being over-aggressive and getting thrown out.
You retired the first 7 guys you faced. What was working for you on the mound?
My fastball, I just felt great with my fastball. Yeah, that's what worked.
Simple enough. Fastball, fastball, fastball. Northwest Suburban Conference baseball standing 6-1 at the top. That's what everybody's trying to shoot for with Anoka and Totino Grace Centennial. A good start at 6-2. Bengals are 5-3 now in conference. They came back, won another extra inning game against Anoka their very next time out. Spring Lake Park sitting at 3-3, even up in conference play. That win over Anoka in extra innings we mentioned for the Blaine Bengals. What have they got coming up next? They'll take on Spring Lake Park, then be at Andover, and also they'll have Robbinsdale Armstrong. 2 of those night games, Panthers and against the Armstrong squad, will be night games for the Bengals. Meanwhile, for Spring Lake Park, they'll be at Blaine, as we said in that first run through the schedule. Champlin Park and Coon Rapids also on the schedule for the Panthers. For Centennial, the Cougars, who again, they're off to a good start near the top of the Northwest Suburban Conference standings. Park Center and Mounds View, as they'll go out of conference with the Mustangs, and then they'll be back in it with first place Anoka to round out their next 3 games in boys baseball. Panthers, Cougars, Bengals, oh my, plenty of sports action going on. The track and field season also off to a strong start, as well as all of our area schools, including the girls and boys teams, both for Blaine, are in action. The Spring Lake Park Panthers, meanwhile, will start their track and field, or rather continue their track and field schedule with their own invitational. That comes up on Friday. Then Mounds View and the Irondale Relays coming up for the Panthers still this week. Blaine boys schedule, Cambridge Isanti, Armstrong, and then the conference tournament coming up. So they're coming right down the stretch for the Blaine boys track and field team. Girls track and field for Blaine, they'll take the trip to Sauk Rapids Rice for their invitational, plus at Cambridge Isanti and at Armstrong. And that leaves just the Centennial Cougars for their combined track team. They'll be at that Sauk Rapids Rice invitational, plus at Cambridge Isanti. And then the only change from what we said for the Blaine girls, they'll be at Anoka, will the Cougars, to finish off their schedule. Track and field, lacrosse, baseball, softball, plenty of it all coming up. But before we start to get to some of that and think about what we've got coming up here on North Metro TV, we always give you a trivia question. We'll get to last week's on the other side of the break. But this week, since we've talked about baseball, you saw the Blaine Irondale highlights. And since this spring, our trivia question theme is invention. Spring, the mother of invention? No, that's not how it goes. But still, who invented baseball? That's our trivia question for this week. And there's a lot of ways this can go. A great debate. Baseball nerd, I guess, that I am. There's a lot of sides that you can come out on the who invented baseball question. So if you have the answer, or you think you have one of the potential answers, feel free to give us an email as well. Last week's question and the answer on the other side, plus more Sports Den, including 2, count them 2, coaches and captains feature. All next. Stick around.
Known for its vineyards and hilltop villages, Umbria is also known for its delicious tasting pizza. Made traditionally from the finest ingredients, Umbria Pizzeria will make you taste the difference, smell the love, and transport you to Italy.
La cena è pronta.
Dinner's ready.
You might even begin to feel like an Italian.
Delicioso.
Umbria Pizzeria, turning taste into memories.
Welcome back to Sports Den. Here on North Metro TV, I'm J.W. Cox. So glad you are with us. Trivia was the theme as we went to the break, and trivia is still with us as we come back. Last week, the invention question that is our theme here of the spring. Who invented lacrosse? Maybe a little less known than who invented baseball, which is our question for this week. It was Native Americans that originally invented the game of lacrosse. There are a lot of different meanings, apparently, of what lacrosse was, including a little war. It was a very savage game, apparently. Knocking about of balls and men hit a rounded object. 2 of those quite literal to what the game was. Congrats to Mrs. Gladys Nabisco of Spring Lake Park for the correct answer of Native Americans. Again, who invented baseball? Let us know if you've got the answer to that one for next week. Plenty, as mentioned, of previews still, and, well, how's the season going at this point as we're about halfway, if not more, through a lot of the spring seasons. That's our Coaches and Captains feature. That's what those are for. They're, again, online, YouTube, high definition, northmetrotv.com as well. We'll give you the link to those. For this edition, we go back to the Diamond, the Centennial softball team. Coaches and Captains feature. Please enjoy.
Last year we made it to section finals against Maple Grove, and so that's our goal this year, to make it at least that far and hopefully go to state. And then we want to be top 3 or 4 teams in conference.
Being in a new conference, some of our goals are to be in the top part of our conference. We're up against a lot of teams that we're used to in the section but not in conference. And so we're excited that we're going to have the opportunity to play them in conference, but we also know that's going to be tough, and every game's going to be one that we have to give it our all in order to get a W.
I think that overall, I mean, outside of the teams that we've beaten, the games that we've played so far, I feel like as a team we're growing together and we're becoming more united as one.
Our players to watch for are Hallie Jones, our pitcher. She's worked really hard in the off season, and thus far she's done a great job. Our 2 seniors, Katie Thunborg is an incredible hitter. Right now she's currently batting over 700, and Maddie Walraff, she's also our Athena Award winner at Spring Lake Park High School, and she's done a great job being shortstop, and she's one of our good hitters as well. We also have Maddie Iskierka, who's our catcher, and she's solid behind the plate. She hasn't had to be behind the plate for the last couple of years, but she's stepped into that role and done a great job calling pitches and just being the captain on the field there.
To be a captain, it means a lot. I mean, this is the first sports season that I've been a captain, so it's exciting for me. I mean, it means that my teammates and the coaches view me as someone who's a leader, and I like that opportunity to be a leader for the team.
We have a bunch of younger girls, just be a great role model for them, so one day they can do the same for the underclassmen again.
We want to let the kids know that softball is a game of fun, and we want them to enjoy the experience. We also want them to become great citizens, just well-rounded kids. It's not always about softball. Softball is just a part of their life, so just being good kids, good citizens, loving life, and also loving the game, and hopefully we can get some wins out of that too.
I love softball because I have been playing it since I was really little, so I kind of that's just like a part of me now. Like, I just couldn't imagine not playing it. And it's just fun. It's a challenge mentally and physically. I mean, as my dad always says, it's 99% mental and 1% skill. I mean, you gotta really have your head in the game when you're playing.
I love the sport of softball because you get to play in beautiful weather like this, and a bunch of my good friends are on the team. It's a great time. So we're off to a great start, and it's only going to get better from here.
Every time we step onto the field, we are going to put on a show for you. We love to play hard, we love to win, we love to excite the crowd. Last year, some games we would bring it all the way to the 7th inning, so we'll leave you sitting on the edge of your seat.
And that's our team. In a nutshell. Thanks for watching. Sports Den. Until next time.
The Spring Lake Park Panthers, of course, there with the coaches and captains. Here's a look at the Northwest Suburban Conference standings. Panthers are 10-4, 5-2 in conference play. Blaine 3-5, and Centennial is 3-4, 5-6 overall. Maple Grove, Anoka, and Elk River are the team that the Panthers are trying to run down. Panthers have had a couple of very good seasons in the past few years, still trying to acclimate themselves, as we've seen with the rest of the sports, to the Northwest Suburban Conference and the tough teams on top of that including those Elk River, Elks, Maple Grove, and Anoka. As we saw, the Panthers, they'll start at Blaine on their upcoming schedule, plus a home matchup against Champlain Park, and then they will travel to Coon Rapids to round out their next 3. For the Centennial Cougars, it'll be at Park Center, at River Falls, and at Anoka, a long stretch on the road for the Cougars of Centennial. Blaine, they're at home against Spring Lake Park, as we mentioned, plus they'll be at Andover and home against Robbinsdale Armstrong over their next 3 games. So plenty of softball action still to go. It's interesting there. I thought she was going to quote Yogi Berra and say that it was 99% mental and then 50% physical, or 100% mental and the rest was physical. Whatever it was that Yogi said, nobody ever really knew. Yogi Berra didn't play tennis, to my knowledge. Maybe he did. I don't know. But a lot of guys around this area are playing tennis, and for the boys' tennis schedule, starting with Spring Lake Park, they take on Elk River at home, plus Park Center and Totino Grace on home court. Centennial, meanwhile, they will be at Coon Rapids in boys tennis, home against Chisago Lakes, and home against Elk River. Blaine, home against Elk River, then home against Irondale, and they will travel on the road to take on Maple Grove, and that'll be a pretty tough matchup. Maple Grove, one of the top teams, Elk River, one of the top teams in the Northwest Suburban Conference in boys tennis. And the Bengals, certainly as we have seen with some good matches so far, they're trying to put themselves in that upper echelon of the Northwest Suburban Conference in boys tennis. From boys tennis around to girls golf. We had boys golf for Spring Lake Park a week ago. At the same time, our cameras also were able to catch up with the girls golf team as they started their early season preparation. Obviously well into the season now, but let's catch you up with the girls golf team from Spring Lake Park and our coaches and captains feature. Please enjoy.
I love the sport of golf because it's just a fun game to play because you can be outside and you can just enjoy it with people that you want to golf with.
It's a lifelong sport, and you're by yourself, not with a team, so it's kind of like independent, and it's calming, I guess.
We had a good year last year. It was our last year in the North Suburban Conference, and we won the conference, and we took second in our section tournament at the end of the year. We had a real successful year last year.
I was kind of the bubble player last year as a number 5, but I'm looking forward to the season this year because I'll be moving up in the ranks, hopefully.
Throughout the off season, I practiced almost every day, and I played a lot with my dad, and I played a lot. And I worked on my short game a lot this season, and especially my irons, because I really needed to work on getting those accurate to hit the greens as much as possible.
I did pretty well. I didn't do as well as I thought I was going to do in sections, but I worked a lot this summer on preparing myself for this year.
We've got teams that we haven't seen much over the years, so we'd like to make sure we go in there and compete and improve our game, and we're going to be playing new courses that we might not be familiar with, so that's going to be kind of a challenge that we're going to have to face this year, and our goal is to, maybe win a conference and do well in the section tournament.
We have a very good chance of going to state last year. I believe last year we lost by 7 points as a team, so that's our goal this year, is to go as a team.
This season we'll have 5 seniors and 1 junior and 1 sophomore that went to state last year.
My goals are just to get better as the season goes on and to be a big, huge count in the score so we can make it far through sections and hopefully make it to state this year.
Our goal will probably be to go, all of us go to state this year, because usually we just have 1 girl that goes to state. And we just have to work really hard at practice and then work hard at matches.
I love the sport of golf because I get my time with my dad. That's how we get our time together. That's all we do together. It's just such a good time for both of us. We learn so much more about each other, and it makes us trust each other more. It's just good family time.
I like golf because you can play it when you're older, and I love my teammates and everything, and I like the individual part of the sport.
I think we've got some good players. We've got fun kids, and the character of our kids are outstanding, and I think we're a team that's going to be real competitive within the section and the conference.
Spring Lake Park girls golf. The rest of the girls golf season coming right up to conference tournament time. So all 3 of our teams will be in conference tournament action coming up. Then the Panthers will move on and take on Totino Grace and Andover. Still all eyes on sectional play coming up at the end of the schedule. Conference tournament also for Blaine coming up next. That's on Friday the 1st of May. So this coming Friday, that's at Majestic Oaks. That'll be an afternoon tee time. Then the Forest Lake Invitational and against Centennial for the Blaine Bengals. That leaves the Centennial girls golf squad. They will have, well, about the same schedule as the Bengals, exactly the same schedule. Conference tournament, then Forest Lake, and then they'll take on the Bengals. That also at Majestic Oaks. The boys golf teams for the same 3 squads, continuing on to that, Spring Lake Park, they will have a match at Armstrong, then at Andover, and the Cambridge Invitational. Same first 2 matches for all 3 of these teams, so at Armstrong and at Andover. Also for Blaine, that at Golden Valley Country Club and Loggers Trail Golf Club, respectively. Bengals will finish up with a meet at Armstrong, and then matches at Armstrong and Andover for Centennial, and they will be at Blaine. Excuse me, that last one for Blaine is against Centennial. They will be at Blaine at Majestic Oaks as well. Wrapping up the boys golf schedule, golf season. Man, what a beautiful, beautiful couple of weeks we had. We had a 70-degree day for some lacrosse yesterday, and it just doesn't get much better than that. Well, what are we going to have in store for you? We can't tell you what the weather's going to be, but we will tell you where we will be on North Metro TV for our upcoming games. Softball tomorrow, Spring Lake Park and Blaine. Panthers, as mentioned, trying to climb up the Northwest Suburban Conference. Bengals trying to stay in the hunt. Baseball on Thursday. That will be this coming Thursday. So we've got softball, then baseball, Champlin and Spring Lake Park. Rebels are 5-4, Panthers are 3-5. Baseball then next Wednesday, Bengals and Cougars in the rivalry matchup. Again, NorthMetroTV.com for the live streaming of all of that. Plus, catch it on Channel 15. NorthMetroTV.com has all the details on the complete coverage list for the rest of the spring. That our near future with the next 3 games that we'll be covering here on North Metro TV. As always on Sports Den, an athlete of the week. This week, well, since we covered him yesterday and we discovered what he had done, it became pretty easy. John Hickey's now scored 12 goals in his last 4 games. That means hat tricks all over the place, an average of a hat trick for Hickey, and he is our athlete of the week. John Hickey, congrats on those honors, plus congrats on the way his team has been rolling out to the 5-1 start. That leaves just plays of the week. Last week we had the athlete of the week in the plays of the week. Will we have that again? Only time will tell. To the plays of the week, and number 3. It's not just about individual effort in these plays of the week. Mallory Corrigan with a great feed to Mackenzie Kelly to help Kelly finish off a hat trick. You highlight the pass and then the finish. That's play number 3 in the losing effort for the Panthers. 3 straight goals there to get that hat trick though. Unassisted double plays and triple plays are fun, but the old 4-6-3. Using the teamwork, still exciting. Willis to Fussy to Slauson. Trio of Bengals fleet as birds. That's from a poem. You can look it up. Bengals kill the rally with the double play ball and get the number 2 spot in our plays of the week. Goals all night for John Hickey. He was our athlete of the week. This time, though, he's assisting on our number 1 play of the week. His pass goes a little bit high for Wyatt Dempke. Corner of the screen, you see the hops. Don't worry, you'll see it again. Gets up, throws it down, all in one motion. And that is our number 1 play of the week. You can catch those plus full editions of Sports Den, all of our coach and captains, all online, NorthMetroTV.com. That includes the full coverage list that we talked about and also the streaming of those games coming up. So softball and baseball still this week. Baseball plus another Sports Den, which might include a few more people at the desk, maybe next week. Go Panthers, go Bengals, go Cougars. I say all 3 this week. Have a good night.